Hello and welcome. It's a real pleasure to be speaking with all of you students from Europe Hotel School. If you're building a career in hospitality, there's a fundamental challenge we really need to talk about. See, hotels run 24/7, but the support for the amazing people who run them, well, it often doesn't. So today, we're going to dive into how AI is stepping in to fix that, completely revolutionizing HR for the modern hotel workforce. Let's get into it. Everything we're about to discuss really boils down to this one powerful idea. For decades, the absolute gold standard in our industry has been instant, responsive service for our guests. But what happens when we turn that philosophy inward? What if we applied that exact same level of care to our own teams? This simple principle, right here, is the key to unlocking a more efficient and, frankly, a more human work environment.
All right, so let's lay out the core problem. Think about it. Hotels are this relentless, round-the-clock operation. But the HR departments that support the staff, they're typically working a standard 9 to 5. This creates an immediate and, let's be honest, an obvious service gap. A fundamental disconnect between when your employees need help and when that help is actually available.
And this gap? It creates something called communication friction. It's that sinking feeling of having a simple, maybe even urgent question, and knowing you have to wait hours, maybe even until the next day, just to get an answer. And this isn't some minor annoyance, it's a huge driver of frustration and inefficiency all across the industry.
Just put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine you're running the night audit at the front desk, or maybe you're on the late-night housekeeping team. It's 2 a.m. and you have a really important question about your paycheck. Who do you even ask? This isn't just a hypothetical, right? For thousands of hotel employees, this is their reality, night after night.
And here's the really interesting part. Most of the questions that are constantly flooding HR aren't these huge, complex crises. They're pretty straightforward, database questions like, hey, what's my vacation balance? Or, can you just resend my last payslip? Individually, they're simple, but the sheer volume of them creates this massive bottleneck, and it stops HR from focusing on the more strategic, people-focused parts of their job. So we've clearly defined the problem. You've got a 24/7 team leaning on a 9 to 5 support system. It just doesn't add up. The solution, then, has to be 24/7 support. And this is where technology steps in with a pretty brilliant answer. An AI-powered HR assistant that's designed to close that service gap for good. Now, one of the leading technologies out there is something called Lena AI. The easiest way to think about it is like having a dedicated HR expert that lives right in every employee's pocket. It works through the apps they already use every single day, like WhatsApp or Microsoft Teams. It's basically a self-service portal that feels totally intuitive and immediate. No new software, no complicated logins, just answer. And in the actual process, it couldn't be simpler. An employee just types a question into their phone, just like they're texting a friend. The AI then securely and instantly plugs into the hotel's main HR database, pulls the specific info for that one employee, and boom, delivers a personalized, accurate answer. The whole thing takes just a few seconds. Okay, but how does it actually do that? I know it might sound like something from a sci-fi movie, but the technology is very real and it's remarkably effective. So let's pull back the curtain a little bit on the two key concepts that make this whole thing work. First up, you've got this concept of transactional inquiries. This is the AI's sweet spot. It's specifically built to handle that huge volume of routine, data retrieval questions we were just talking about. These are the exact types of queries that eat up most of a human HR team's time, but they are absolutely perfect for an automated system to handle instantly. And this, right here, perfectly shows that smart division of labor in action. The AI takes all the factual, data-driven questions. But the second an issue needs empathy or judgment or complex problem-solving, like a sensitive issue with a manager, the system knows its limits. And this is so important. The AI is a tool to empower people, not to replace them. Now, the real secret sauce here, the thing that makes this feel so human, is a technology called Natural Language Processing, or NLP. This is what lets an employee type, yo, how much vacay time I got left, typos, slang, and all. And the AI still totally gets the intent behind the question. It's what makes the technology feel less like a robot and more like a helpful colleague. Which brings us to what might be the most important piece of this whole puzzle, the partnership between the AI and the human HR team. This is not about replacing professionals. It's about augmenting their skills and making them even better at what they do. So what happens when the AI gets a question that it knows is, well, out of its league? It performs what's called a warm handoff. It doesn't just give up and say, I can't help you. No, it intelligently routes the entire conversation with all of the context to the right human expert.
This makes sure that no employee request ever falls through the cracks and that sensitive issues get the empathy they deserve.
So what's the ultimate result of all of this? What's the real-world impact on a hotel's day-to-day operations? Well, the goal is to create what's called a zero-ticket environment. This is basically a state where common employee questions get resolved so quickly and so effectively that they never even have to become a formal help desk ticket in the first place.
And how do you get there? Well, this number is how. The AI can instantly and autonomously resolve up to 90% of all routine HR inquiries. Just let that sink in for a moment. 9 out of every 10 simple questions that would have created an administrative task for a human now just disappear, answered in seconds. And this chart, it shows you everything. The transformation is just wow. Before AI, an HR pro might spend 3/4 of their day on repetitive admin work. After bringing in an AI assistant, that equation completely flips on its head. They are suddenly free to focus on the high-value, uniquely human work, mentoring, developing their people, and building a stronger company culture.
And in the end, it really all comes down to this. This technology isn't just about making things faster. It's about creating a work environment where every single employee, no matter their shift or their role, feels seen and supported. That feeling of empowerment is what directly leads to higher morale, better guest service, and a much healthier business overall.
Our goal here at Europe Hotel School is to equip you with the practical knowledge and future-ready skills that you're going to need to lead in this industry. Understanding how to strategically use technology like this, well, it's no longer just an IT skill. It's a core leadership competency from modern hospitality.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about as you move forward in your careers. These tools are only going to get smarter and more powerful. The real test for you, as the next generation of leaders, is how you will choose to implement them. How will you use automation not to diminish the human touch, but to amplify it? The answer to that question will define the future of our industry.